Sandbox MMA fans, you know what time it is. It's the UFC matchmaking video for the UFC Fight Night Vegas. I want to say it was 96. Borralho versus Cannonier. Matched up everyone on the fight card that I thought was worthy of matchmaking. I'm going to give you rough timelines that I'd like to see them fight. Again, these are very rough timelines. I understand that up to the fighters when they want to accept the fight. Some guys are going to want to see in there quicker than others. Some I might want to see take a rest. So without further ado, let's just get into it. This says 305 matchmaking. It is not 305 matchmaking. That is just me forgetting to change the title because everyone likes to use templates. It's the right way to go. Anyway, we are getting started with the first fight of the night. Wang Kong Wang. No fucking idea which one comes first. Super impressive win. 1 minute knockout over Victoria Leonardo, who we get it sucks. But at the end of the day, it's a minute knockout in the women's flyweight division. That's very, very impressive. Not to mention this girl has a win over Valentina Shevchenko in kickboxing. So there's a Pereira-type story arc there. All I know, she goes there dressed as Batman, and I think Batman would have a fucking problem with Wang Kong. That's how good she is. Or she looked. Fast, crisp hands. She's also 32, so I don't want her to wait out too long. She was super active. I think we can see her in the rankings soon. I want her to get another fight in by the end of the year. She took 1 minute to knock out Victoria Leonardo. Let's see her fight in November, December on a pay-per-view prelim against JJ Aldrich. I'm cool with like an MSG prelim. I'm cool with the UFC 310 prelim. If you want to put this on 308 in Abu Dhabi, you can do that. But or you can put this on the fight night in China, honestly. There's a fight night in China coming up, I think November 2nd. If you do Wang Kong versus JJ Aldrich, that is a good fight to have on. You could honestly put that as the main card opener on that because, again, not like there's going to be a ton of fighters wanting to go to China. It's not like there's a ton of fighters that, again, with not a lot of fighters going to China, I don't think the card's going to be that strong. I think you're going to see a lot of Chinese fighters featured on that, like Shailin Nurmagomedov. You should probably see Song Yadong. You'll probably see Zhang Weili defend her title. Like, that's what it's going to look like. You put Wang Kong as the main card opener. She has a chance to get a quick knockout over JJ Aldrich. That helps build her name even more. She's 32. She goes right outside the rankings with that. And then you can start looking at the number 15 ranked matchup, or like the person right outside the rankings for her to beat. So, Wang Kong, JJ Aldrich, if you do this on the fight night card as a main card opener in China, this is the way to go. I'm not matching Cavalcanti or Nunes because I don't really care that much. Vyacheslav Barshev, really good win over James Lantop, and I was thinking about matching Lantop just because of his performance, but at the end of the day, decided not to. There are names out there, but again, it's going to be people that have, excuse me, like either recently lost fights or prospects that are coming up, like a Balaji Oki or something. But let's get to Slava Claus. Want him in a strikers matchup, a fun fight. Trevor Peek, throw caution to the wind, let these two just swing. You have an absolutely polished, styled kickboxer versus a dude that just wings it in Trevor Peek. Now, Trevor Peek has a fight coming up with Yanal Ashmouz that I think he's going to win. I think he's going to get one of those crazy first-round knockouts or something like that. But if you get that first-round win, then you put him in a fight with Slava Claus, and you have a sick fight to put on the prelims of a fight night card. So, Slava versus Trevor Peek, this would be a fun fight. And again, Slava took some damage. Trevor Peek's fighting Yanal Ashmouz. I say you do this at the beginning of 2025. Again, I'd like to see it in 2024, but we only got so many fight cards left. I don't think any of these guys are going up to fight in November. And in December, we only got like 3 cards, maybe 2 cards. I think it's going to be 3 cards, but yeah, I think that early next year, the first fight night of the year, you do Slava versus Trevor Peek on the prelims. It's going to make for a good fight. Next up, Zachary Reese, big battering win over Jose Medina. I want to see him fight Andre Petroski. Now, Petroski has a fight with Dylan Budka. I am convinced that, I have friends that train MMA. They can beat Dylan Budka. I can't beat Dylan Budka yet, but we'll get there. Zachary Reese versus Andre Petroski. I think it's a good fight. You're going to have 2 guys probably coming off recent wins as long as Petroski gets the job done against Dylan Budka next week on September 7th on the Burns-Brady card. I think he'll probably get it done pretty quickly. Zachary Reese, while he got tired in that fight, I don't think he needs to take a ton of time off. Again, I'm looking at December, January, a fight night prelim between Petroski and Zachary Reese. Could be a very, very intriguing type fight. I think it'll be in front of a crowd because I think the Apex is going to be shut down by that point. So we'll do Reese versus Petroski, prelims of a fight night card in front of a crowd. Could be pretty interesting. You got a guy that's a very strong wrestler in Petroski versus a guy who has a good jiu-jitsu game in Zachary Reese, but also has big power. Would be intrigued to see that matchup. Especially because I actually don't think those 2 guys are that good. So we'll see who gets fraud checked. Dennis Buzukja versus Francis Marshall got a great win. Bazookia did show heart in the second half of the fight. I think he just got confused in the first round with the takedown. Not confused, but like just caught him off guard. The takedown game and the back control caught him off guard. It threw him off rhythm. And then in the second round, I think he got hurt early and just didn't have his wits about him until later in the second round. And then in the third round, he won that. But I want him to fight Jarno Aarons. Two strikers that are going to stand up and bang, both coming off losses, but both coming off entertaining losses, where they like to just stand up and throw down. So, actually, entertaining losses. I mean, Yusuf Zalal choked out Jarno Aarons like very quickly, but Yusuf Zalal is a ranked featherweight contender in my eyes. I think he deserves to be ranked. I think he's better than some of the guys in the featherweight rankings. Even though rankings in featherweight, this is the second deepest division in the UFC. Number one, it's not lightweight, it's bantamweight. So, lightweight, again, I put lightweight at the 3. But again, bantamweight and featherweight are above them. I got Bazookia, and while Bazookia and Francis Marshall fought at lightweight, they're both featherweights. Jarno Aarons, Dennis Bazookia, make it happen. February fight night card. I think it would be very intriguing. Next up on the card, because I don't think Bazookia is turning around to fight on November in MSG, so we're going to switch it up now to Francis Marshall, who got the W on that card. Impressive performance, showed some well-roundedness. Hader Emil. Hader Emil's coming off a highlight knockout over Zhang Young Lee, where he just threw a 40-piece combination that finished Zhang Young Lee. Great performance. I think these guys can fight in January. Fight night prelim again. Decent fight. So those are the prelims of this card. We're going to the main card. Edmund Shabazian just continues to take the L, man. That's fucking sucks to see. It drives me nuts. I want this guy to win. But anyway, he lost. So we're going Edmund Shabazian. And again, he didn't take a ton of damage, but he did tire out. He got choked out. Armen Petrosian. If you can put these guys on a fight night in December, the last fight night of the year, again, it's given them a good 3.5 months to rest for Shabazian, who didn't take a ton of damage. Just get back in there, train, and get a win on your record. And then Petrosian hasn't fought in a while. I'm sure he wants to fight by the end of the year. If you do Petrosian, Edmund Shabazian, you have two guys that aren't going to really go for takedowns, two powerful strikers that have the potential to gas out. Both can kick, both can throw hands. I think it's a good matchup to make. So do this on the prelims of a crowded fight night. I think the prelim headliner would be a good fight. Gerald Meerschaert versus Paul Craig. I don't think we see either of these two guys in the octagon by the end of the year. Both like to take their time off, and Paul Craig took a beating from Caio Borralho all the way back in May. But I think that when Gerald Meerschaert called him out, he said, fuck it, I'll wait for the Meerschaert fight. I think Meerschaert's going to have to wait till next year. Prelims of like the UFC 312 pay-per-view in February, Paul Craig versus Gerald Meerschaert. This is a fight that needs to be made. Both guys are at 85, both submission specialists that are terrible on the feet, but will go pitter-patter for pitter-patter on the feet. We might see an interesting jiu-jitsu matchup here. Do it on the prelims of a fight night card, or do it on the main card of a fight night card, or do it on the prelims of a pay-per-view card somewhere in February. I'm going 312 prelims. I think it could be a good fight for that. Neil Magny, battered by Michael Morales. Again, he's a gatekeeper, but he's out of the rankings. Let's have him gatekeep on people's ways up to the rankings, and I think the next guy is Brian Battle. Brian Battle's got a fight coming up. I don't really remember who it's with. I do remember it being a very winnable fight for him, and it's coming up at some time in the next couple of weeks. I want to say it is in September. I will look into it later. I just totally forget it off the top of my head right now, but it's totally a winnable fight. I don't know. Anyway, Battle versus Neil Magny. Battle's a kid that I can see getting into the welterweight rankings with like a win over Magny and then another win. So if he gets this win this week, then he gets a Neil Magny matchup, then he gets a shot into the rankings. So I could see that being the case. Neil Magny is a good stepping stone for that. But if he can't pass the Neil Magny test, then we know he's not a real contender. I just happen to think he can pass it. So I'm going Brian Battle versus Neil Magny. If you do this on the main card of a fight night in January, I think it makes for a terrific matchup. Again, that gives Neil Magny 5 months to heal up. That gives Brian Battle time to heal up after I think he's going to batter his opponent, who might actually be Jarno Aarons. Would you guys stick with me while I look for this? I don't know. I'm not going to look into it. I'm not going to look into it right now. Michael, you know what? I am going to look into it, but I'm going to do it on YouTube. Or not on YouTube. I'm going to go on Google, Brian Battle, next fight. Let's just see if this is reasonable. Because tell me, like, Magny isn't perfect to fight any up-and-coming welterweight. Like, it is what it is, and he's not in the rankings anymore, so it's going to be hard for him to get a fight in the rankings. Like, they're not going to put him back in the rankings. It's against Kevin Jousset, so that's actually going to be... If he gets a win over Kevin Jousset and a win over Neil Magny, then he gets a chance in At the rankings after that, I'm totally okay with it. When are they fighting? September 21st. So yeah, they're fighting in September. I think it's a great fight to make. Let's do it. Let's go Neil Magny, Brian Battle, January. This is the one I want to make. So I think it's the one to make. January fight night, main card, Battle, Magny, make it happen. Michael Morales, the guy that got a win. Vicente Luque. Again, this is a fight that I think you can put on the pay-per-view of UFC 310. Main card opener, prelim headliner, Michael Morales, Vicente Luque. Vicente Luque ranked number 13 against Michael Morales, who's going to be ranked like number 12 tomorrow because he beat Neil Magny. Or he might get like the 13 treatment or the 15 treatment and everyone moves up. We'll see. But Morales is undefeated. Vicente Luque needs a fight. I think that we're going to want to slow ball Michael Morales to the top because I think there are exposable parts of his game, even though I do think he's talented. I think if he gets a fight over Vicente Luque and keeps training, going through it, and then training after it, you do it on the UFC 310 main card opener. You do it as the UFC 310 prelim headliner. It's a sick fight to make. I don't think Vicente Luque is going to shoot too many takedowns. He might, but not to the extent where we're going to see like Morales get grapple tested. I think he's going to get tested more on the feet, and I think it's a good fight to make. So Michael Morales, Vicente Luque, the number 13 and 12 ranked guys, I believe it's going to be on Tuesday. So great fight to make. Next up on the card, and it's on the UFC 310. I would like prelim headliner because that means the main card's going to be sick, but it could be a main card opener, and I'm okay with it. Myron Santos, one of the more impressive performances on the card. Absolutely sparked Khan awfully bad. Weston Wilson. Now, hear me out. Weston Wilson's coming off a win over Jekka Saragi. On Tapology, these guys are pretty close to each other in their rankings. I think Weston Wilson's like a spot above or 2 spots above. Maybe below, but somewhere around each other. Myron Santos is 24. I think we can turn Myron Santos around for the UFC 309 prelims at MSG. Weston Wilson had a quick win over Jekka Saragi like 2 months ago, so I think he'd be ready for that. It's a layup win for Myron Santos, I think. I think that Weston Wilson's not going to be able to get this to the ground. I think that Myron Santos is going to batter him on the feet. It's going to build his name, and he's 24 years old. He gets another fight in by the end of the year, builds his name on an MSG card where there are going to be people there watching him, and he's going to get a little bit of a star factor. He just won tough. Get him a couple more easy wins up until he's like 26 years old, 27 years old, and then you can start looking at the top end of outside the rankings at featherweight. Yeah, it's featherweight. So, Weston Wilson, Myron Santos, UFC 309 early prelims, make it happen. Next up, we got Ryan Loder, another tough winner. Just wrestling guy, Cedric Dumas. I don't think Ryan Loder's this crazy talented guy, but Cedric Dumas is a name that's coming off of a win recently. I don't think it's an overly difficult challenge for Ryan Loder. It's a winnable fight for him. It's also a winnable fight for Cedric Dumas. They're going to want to build their tough guys. I think you can do this fight December pay-per-view prelims, early prelims. So Ryan Loder, Cedric Dumas, I just think it's the fight to make. Let's try and book this before the end of the year because Ryan Loder's 33, doesn't got too much more time left in his career. Maybe 5 years at the most. And that's not enough for a title run for a guy like Ryan Loder, if you ask me. But anyway, Angela Hill lost, even though I thought she beat Tabitha Ricci. Anyway, we knew it was going to happen if it went to a decision. Jillian Robertson, I don't know if these two have even fought yet. Totally forget. They might have. But even if they have, it hasn't been in Angela Hill's past 5 fights. I think it would be time for either a rematch. They're close to each other in the rankings. You can do Hill versus Robertson. They're going to Canada in November, I believe, also. Maybe that's the November 2nd card is in Canada, and like November 17th or November 16th is something in China. Something like that. They got a Canada card coming up, and they got a China card coming up. I think you put this on I don't think they're going to be able to turn around quick enough for November, if I'm being honest. I think Angela Hill versus Jillian Robertson, something early 2025, fight night prelims, make it happen. Next up on the card, dude, Jillian Robertson looks way hotter in this picture than she does when she gets sat in the cage, by the way. Just saying. Tabitha Ricci, Bootylicious Ricci against Amanda Lemos. I wanted to match Dern up because that fight would have went pretty hard. And I'm not talking about just the fight, but Amanda Lemos, dude, I don't know. I don't know what the fuck's wrong with me, guys. But Amanda Lemos versus Tabitha Ricci. Lemos lost to Verna Jandiroba. She's going to have to look down in the rankings probably. She's fought a lot of other people. You got Amanda Ribas and Mackenzie Dern tied up with a fight night in December probably in Tampa. Can't believe that's looking at a headliner. That's fucking annoying. Stop doing women's strawweights fucking main eventing in front of a crowd, Dana. Like, do you want people to leave early, you dumb shit? Even though Mackenzie Dern gets into scraps or Amanda Rivas gets into scraps, they're just not going to be that fun of a fight. There's no, like, genuine, like, fear of someone going out stiff, but it is what it is. Only person stiff in there is all the dudes in the arena. But Tabitha Ricci versus Amanda Lemos. I think it's a good fight to make. You have the number 5 ranked versus the number 10 ranked or 9 ranked. Amanda Lemos got to look down. Tabitha Ricci's probably going to keep looking up. And I think this is a real test for Tabitha Ricci in the sense that there's danger in this fight. Like, Amanda Lemos can put her out. And I think Amanda Lemos is difficult for Tabitha Ricci to drag to the floor because Tabitha Ricci doesn't have great takedown. She has good grappling, but not great takedown. So, Ricci, Lemos will probably be on the main card of a fight night. Fine. I don't agree with it, but Amanda Lemos actually has power and there's danger when she steps in the octagon, so fine. Would prefer a prelim of like a pay-per-view, but it is what it is. Jared Cannonier took a loss, and it should have been stopped way earlier. I want this dude to take some time off, man. I get it. He's old. He's 40. Doesn't have that much time left. But he can make another paycheck against Paulo Costa. UFC 313, first week of March, I believe that pay-per-view will probably be, or second week of March. They usually do like 2 in March. Paulo Costa, Jared Cannonier, feature fight on a or main card opener, like one of the fights 3 through 5 on the main card. You put this as a fight on a pay-per-view, it's going to help sell it. Cannonier, Paulo Costa, there's real danger when it goes in the cage. Neither are going to try and grapple. They're probably going to just walk forward and swing hands. Someone might go out, or it's going to be a heavily damage-based decision. Cannonier, Costa, this is a fight that we haven't seen yet. It's a fight that we need to see. So Cannonier, Costa, sometime in March. Give Jared Cannonier another 6 or 7 months to rest after that brutal loss to Caio Borralho. In that 5th round, he took a ton of damage. The fight should have been stopped earlier. Caio Borralho, again, great win. I think he puts himself in a number 1 contenders matchup pretty much with a win over Cannonier. I think he does. Cannonier versus Allen versus Imavov. Imavov coming off a win against Cannonier. Allen coming off a win against Curtis. They're fighting each other on the co-main event of the UFC September 28th card in France. The winner is going to probably get a title shot. Oh, sorry. If Caio Borralho versus the winner is going to probably be like next in line for a title shot because you got Strickland who's going to fight DDP. You got the winner of Whitaker versus Hamzat who's also in line. If you book this fight as a fight night main event in front of a crowd sometime in February, you got Brendan Allen versus Caio Borralho or Nasruddin Imavov versus Caio Borralho in a 5-rounder. That winner of that will set them up for a title fight. Because like if Hamzat wins, he's going to get the title shot. If Whitaker wins, he's going to wait after Strickland to get the title shot. So Dricus is going to have 3 title contenders lined up. This is what we want to see in active champion. Or you put it in a situation where Caio fights the loser of Hamzat versus Whitaker, and that puts him in title contention again. So only big fights from here on out for Caio Borralho. I think this is the one to make, though. The winner of this can take a big fight, or get a Adesanya fight, or get a title fight after it. So if you do Allen versus Imavov, the winner of that fights Caio Borralho. We'll see how that fight goes before we really put them into a title fight, but I just want to see it because you're looking at the guy who will be ranked 4 versus the guy who's going to be ranked 5 tomorrow. Sick fight to make. This is the UFC matchmaking video for the fight night card. Hope you enjoyed it. If you think there are better matchups, please like and subscribe. I am having problems with this fucking computer, man. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it. Like and subscribe. Thank you again for watching.